Hello, Sagittarius. This is your weekly oracle card reading. I'm trying something new and offering these weekly readings based on your zodiac sign for sun, moon, rising. So instead of doing a weekly based on, starting on Monday or Sunday, I am formatting it to go with the moon phases. So this reading is from this last full moon that was on the 19th until the third quarter, which is going to be on the 26th. Let's see, let me just get this one thing set up. So yeah, of course, after the full moon, usually the full moon brings realizations, shines light on things. So this is a time of reflecting, thinking about what you've realized, what you're deciding to let go of, sort of the inner work that happens before you take your next steps and start new projects, which is best done around the new moon. It's a really good time for starting new things. So, alrighty, so this is for Sagittarius, whether you have your sun, moon, or rising. I'm just going to tune in real quick, see how many cards I'm going to draw for you today. I'm using the Enchanted Map Oracle cards by Colette Baron Reed. This is one of my all-time favorite decks. I use it a lot. Okay, so let me just tune in here. I'm sorry, just a second. Audrey, can you please stop that? I apologize, my dog is making a lot of noise. Okay, let's see here. Sagittarius. So this is going to be the general reading, what sort of energies are going on for Sagittarius this week. Any advice or encouragement or guidance from Spirit? What is the weather report for Sagittarius? Let's see, how many cards? Alrighty, so we're going to do 4 cards for this reading. Go ahead and shuffle. Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Sagittarius is one of my favorite signs. Well, there's really good things about all signs, but Sagittarians, you guys are a fun bunch. One of my really close friends was or is a Sagittarius. All right. 4 cards for Sagittarius for this week in between the full moon and the new moon. Well, not the new moon, but the third quarter. Some of this stuff might continue up until the new moon because a lot of these energies are kind of prevalent in these times, but we're focusing on mainly from now till the third quarter. There's the first card. I apologize if you guys hear dogs barking. My neighbor's dogs really bark a lot. Alrighty, and one more card. Alrighty. Let's make sure these are all in the correct position. Okay. So the first card that we have for Sagittarius is One Ring Circus. And this is upright. So I want to make sure. Okay, good. It's getting set up correctly. I was watching one of my other videos that I did earlier, and I think I kind of messed up how the cards were, but the messages were correct. It's just, I think I had put them upside down or something. Anyhow, One Ring Circus, and this is number 15. That's a really cool card. I've never drawn that before. That's the fun thing about reading for all zodiac signs, is you get to see some cards that you don't usually see if you're not doing readings for, people where that stuff is coming up. Okay, so this is upright, One Ring Circus. You are capable and competent. Independence is key now as you step into your journey today or during this week. Others may not have the vision or resources that you need. Recognize that all wisdom you've acquired along the way makes you particularly competent, capable of moving forward with assurance. Self-reliance is important. Another aspect to consider is creating and maintaining clear boundaries between you and another. Be discerning about your partnerships at this time. When you know who you are and have a healthy sense of where you end and others begin, you're able to enter into the best kind of relationships. Excuse me. And will attract people who mirror back your wholeness. Interdependent relationships are always mutually supportive, stimulating, and transformative. You can achieve anything at this time. Wow, that's really powerful. So like I was saying before, right now typically is not the best time to take steps to start new things. But I think that a big thing that this message is saying is to really recognize your abilities, recognize your wisdom. Sagittarius, I mean, you're the sage of the zodiac. That's what's so cool about Sagittarius, is you've got this great combination of really fun, loving, like extremely fun energy combined with very wise awareness and insights. It's a really neat combination. So, really recognize yourself, focus on that self-worth, being aware that you have whatever you need within you already. And relationships with others can be great, but, the message really here is that an interdependent relationship is really the most healthy. And that's where, there's no, codependence or narcissism or anything like that. You have two people that in themselves are whole, because we're all whole, Um, and they're able to work together with balanced receiving and giving, mutually supportive, mutually stimulating, mutually transformative, not in a situation where just one person is benefiting, but where both people are. And, and that's the other thing I think with Sagittarius that sometimes can happen is you really love stimulating situations, stimulating people. I think that's why to me they have such like a party energy because they like having that fun and excitement, that interaction, new experiences, new interactions, um, all of that. So now's a really good time for you to be very discerning about your partnerships. If you're, perhaps when we had the full moon a few days ago, you may have had some realizations. You may have suddenly found something out, or you may have just suddenly had this epiphany that you may not be really fulfilled in a particular situation, um, or perhaps you were thinking about starting something new. One message here is definitely you don't. It's a really powerful time right now, not just moon phase wise, but in this current year that we're in. This past month or so has been a major time of really having these deep realizations about our self-worth, our value, what we're bringing to the table, and a lot of empowerment because in the coming weeks and months, you guys are really, everyone is going to be really starting to embark on a new chapter in their lives. Um, very much, excuse me. Oh, like soul path stuff, soul purpose stuff, really moving forward. And in order to move forward on this path, it's necessary to make sure that you're really valuing yourself, value what you're bringing to the table, you know, and you deserve to be in situations that are mutually beneficial. Okay, so the next card is the Gentle Gardener. It's in the reversed position. Gentle Gardener. Okay, excuse me just a second. Can you please stop that? Sorry, my dog is kind of obsessively bathing herself. Okay, Gentle Gardener reversed. Do you harbor resentments? How often do you reinforce negativity by affirming lack and limitation? Every time you send out a desire for something but secretly harbor a belief that you're undeserving of it, you plant weeds in the field of your dreams. When the Gentle Gardener appears in the reverse position, she reminds you to be aware of any negative thoughts or selfish motives. She encourages you to step back and pay close attention to what thought seeds you send out into the world. Weeds choke the life out of your beautiful garden. No need to fret, however, because once you recognize this, you can always remove a bad seed and replace it with a healthy one. Forgiveness is your most powerful restorative tool. So one really interesting thing is that this time period between the full moon and the new moon is definitely a time for all of those things that start with RE, like reflection, rest, rejuvenation, remembrance, reconsidering. It's kind of like a Mercury retrograde sort of thing as far as the things that are really powerful and helpful at this time. It's those kind of, reflective sort of things. So, interesting that it says right here, forgiveness is your most powerful restorative tool. So it could be a really good time to explore and see if there's any person or yourself that needs forgiveness. Also, tied into this, with the really looking at what sort of, so for example, with this card, this first card here, the one ring circus, there's elements definitely that probably some of you have been in some relationships, whether it's with a partner or a work situation or a family situation, where there's been an imbalance between who's giving and who's receiving, and like a lack of recognition, you know? And so, there's this need for you to recognize yourself, your self-worth, your value. You are worth being in a situation where you are recognized. But of course, to really perceive that recognition, you have to recognize yourself first before anyone else really can. Someone else can recognize you, but you won't be aware of it, really. You won't feel it inside of you because you don't recognize that within yourself. It's like loving yourself, Other people can love you when you don't love yourself, but you don't really feel it. Doesn't really feel real to you. You don't get the full benefit of the experience of being loved when you don't have that same awareness for yourself. So, perhaps you recently left a situation or are considering leaving a situation, where you're just having this realization that you are in a situation where you're not being recognized, you're not being valued. So it's important to have forgiveness, because ultimately, granted, we can't control whether other people recognize us. We can't control how much people give to us. We can give and give, and we can, be ourselves, but that doesn't always mean that the other person is going to acknowledge that, or that they're going to return, that same level of giving. But to a certain extent, we do allow ourselves to continue in certain situations. So, you can forgive yourself for any, perhaps, perhaps you experienced some self-delusion, or you experienced just not valuing yourself, not recognizing yourself. So be sure to forgive yourself for anything like that you've come to realize, but also see what you can do about forgiving others. Because really, when it comes down to it, in a sense, can we really blame someone for not recognizing us? Maybe there's something within them that prevents them from being able to recognize one's value, another person's value. Is it really worth holding a grudge against them, or being angry or resentful towards them for something that they may not even really be aware or consciously able to control? I know that's kind of going on a little bit of a rabbit trail. Excuse me for just 1 minute. All right, do you have a candle burning?
Yeah.
It smells like something is not burning the way it should be. I think you need to turn that off for now.
Well, it's an incense.
Well, it smells like something is like plastic burning.
Oh, weird.
I don't. Can you? I guess. Well, you already started. In the future, can you please ask?
Yeah.
Because you have kind of a small space there that you're working with. I apologize. My daughter is just. You heard that. Okay, I have an extremely sensitive nose. I smell everything. Okay, so So the other thing is, if you've become aware of any negative self-defeating thoughts or habits, ways of thinking about things, this is a really good opportunity for you to work on replacing those thoughts with more positive and loving thoughts. And a lot of this is going to be related to stuff that you probably have been thinking a lot about in the last few days, especially around the time of the full moon. So this is like, if you're wondering, oh, I wonder what this really applies to, think back to those days leading up to the full moon and right around the full moon, around the 19th of February. And that's most likely going to be the topic that these cards are dealing with, because now this is the time to think over and reflect on what has come to light. So this third card is rescue, and it's upright. Let's see if we can fit all these. Rescue. Upright. Let's see what we got here. You are always safe and secure and free to be yourself. Asking for help isn't easy for many successful people. However, that's what you need to do now as you expand your life. If you find yourself troubled, you can expect help with whatever issue is at hand now. You need only ask, and assistance will come your way. The most important support you can expect is from Spirit. Get into a right relationship with the divine, and you'll see that many conditions line up as if by magic to provide you with all the help you need. Ask and you will receive. There is no need to fear. Safety is a place within. So that's very powerful as well, and very similar to some of the other readings I've been doing for this time period for the various signs, is this message, this reoccurring message about remembering to ask Spirit for assistance. If you have confusion, if you feel like you need strength, if you feel like you're not certain which path you should take, if you're not certain, maybe you're not clear on what actions you should take in regards to certain relationships, or whether you should take any action at all. So you can always ask for guidance from Spirit. And in order to receive that assistance and help, you do need to ask. Because Spirit's not going to interfere and intervene in your life unless you ask. And the sky's the limit. Or, the universe, existence, there is no limit. There is an infinite amount of help available for any subject. Nothing is too small or too big to ask for help in. So let's see. And when it says get into a right relationship with the divine, I think that sentence can mean a lot of different things. It could mean developing a trust that the divine force within life is helpful and wants to help you, and that you are worthy of receiving that help, because all of us are worthy. But it's also about aligning yourself with divine will, setting that intention that you want to be on the path that really is the best path for you. Setting those intentions, whatever your intentions may be. Maybe you have, maybe you're working on making more responsible choices in your life. You have the desire for that, but maybe you find it difficult, you don't know where to start, or you're just kind of having trouble sticking to your intention. Well, you can set that intention to ask the divine to help you, that in whatever way the intention of making more responsible decisions, for example, is aligned with your divine path, to ask for that assistance, A lot of people from a Christian background when they pray, they will, well, they might end their prayer in a lot of different ways, but, they might say, like, in Jesus's name at the end. I end my prayers and intentions usually with, or at least I have it somewhere in there, according to divine will. So, because I realize that sometimes what I may think I want or I think is best for me, it may not actually be what's absolutely best for me. I may be coming from a place of fear or confusion and who knows what. So, I just always like to put that little qualifier out there that I'm not, drastically changing things in a way that is guided by fear or confusion, that I want these changes to be guided by divine will. So whatever I put out there, I'll always say according to divine will, so that I'm putting the intention out there and that I am saying, as long as this intention is aligned with divine will, then I am putting this intention out here into the world. Okay, so that's kind of what I think, getting in a right relationship with the divine is trusting, developing that trust, asking for assistance, keeping that line of communication open, developing a habit of listening in whatever way comes most naturally to you. Because, all of us have an ability to perceive these messages from spirit. Some of it may be just kind of like a knowing that you feel inside of you. It might be a certain body sensation. You might actually hear, in your mind, or out loud. You may have some sort of audio, audible messages. You may see visions. There's a lot of different ways that you can perceive spirit. But most of them take a certain amount of, I wouldn't necessarily call it practice, because it's not exactly a skill, but in a sense it kind of is. It's just like learning good communication skills. We are not necessarily born knowing how to communicate effectively with others. We're taught that by our parents and teachers and, society and blah, blah, blah. So, but we're not really, most of us are not taught how to communicate with the spirit world. So, so in a sense, it is kind of like practicing. The more you do it, the stronger your communication skills will become. So, just so this message basically is about developing that relationship with spirit and trusting that safety that you have inside of you also. If there's any chaotic things going on in your life right now, if you're not really certain about how things are going to play out, just really develop that sense of safety that is inside of you. That isn't based on external circumstances, but is based on an inner awareness about things working out according to divine will, trusting the flow of life, trusting that things happen according to divine timing. And I know that can be very difficult. But Sagittarians, out of all the signs, I think you guys are sometimes able to do that sort of thing better. In a way, it almost comes a little bit easier to you guys in some ways. But you may not be consciously aware of it. That's what's funny. That you may not be aware of it, but somehow you guys are able to just really kind of go with the flow pretty well. So the last card is Spark, and it's in the upright position, number 34. You are a clear channel for divine creativity. Wow. There is a spark of creativity in you, and you have every reason to move forward with optimism and hope. Open yourself to inspiration and allow life to show you its beauty and your part in co creating it. This is the perfect time to give birth to a new idea, start a new relationship or job, or begin any endeavor. Attraction is high as you connect with others who can co create joyous experiences and join with you in expressing the finer aspects of life. Watching a spark turn into a flame and stoking that fire is a gratifying activity. Wow, that's really powerful. So, according to the moon phase, if we're just looking at the moon phase, it normally wouldn't be like the best time to start new things. But, you know, every sign is impacted a little bit differently. So it could be that for Sagittarius, that this actually may be a good time for these things to get started. And, one thing that really I get with this, is the analogy of a spark. So it could be that you're just in the very beginning stages of something coming into your life. Um, like it said, a new idea, a new relationship, a new job, any sort of new endeavor. So you might have that, what may have happened around the full moon is you had, you know, um, you may have planted seeds in the past that came to fruition and brought in this new person into your life, that or the new opportunity. And so now you're in those beginning stages of starting to move forward with this new awareness or this new being, this new opportunity, whatever it may be, this new thing, new energy. Some new energy has likely entered your life in some way around the full moon, and now is the very beginning stages of that. So when we look at all of the rest of these cards here, well, one thing I don't want to move on to that quite yet. Another thing is the element of co-creation. So looking in, it is good to, this card, right here is talking about your connection with spirit. You know, this card is talking about valuing what you're bringing to the table. This card is talking about checking yourself especially if you're falling into any negative thought patterns about yourself or others, like expecting that this situation is going to turn out just like the last ones or all of them did. So spirit is saying no. Just because something happened in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen in the future, especially if you can recognize what you're bringing to the table. Recognize your value, recognize your worth, recognize that you have a lot to offer this new situation. You have a lot to offer this new person, this new job, whatever. And that you have the opportunity, when you really value yourself that way, to really attract a situation where there's mutual, interdependent, good stuff. Love, success, growth, excitement, that really good, balanced giving and taking that's just almost like this seamless cycle that isn't about keeping tabs of who did what, but just naturally flowing. So it tells me that whatever this new thing that's coming into your life is very positive, but just make sure that you're coming into it valuing yourself, valuing who you are, valuing all the good qualities that are in you that you're bringing to this situation. And if you catch yourself with negative self-talk or anything like that, make sure that you become aware of it and do what you like, pull those weeds. Um, Maybe do a meditation when you get, if you have a thought come to you that's negative, set the intention that you will become aware, consciously aware, anytime those negative thoughts pop up, and then decide to do something about it. You know, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You could tell yourself, that's a false belief based on past conditioning, or that's a false belief based on blah, 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 or I don't believe that, and replace it with I believe this, or um, it could be as simple as just you could have a visualization of weeding a garden, pulling a weed out, that every time you have one of those thoughts, you just envision a garden and envision that weed and see yourself pulling it out and putting it in the compost pile. And the other important thing is make sure that you're replacing those thoughts with positive thoughts. Make sure that you're telling yourself, and really not like in a cheesy, like I'm amazing sort of way, like in something that feels legitimate to you. For myself, I find it helpful to write down sayings and put them up around my house to remind myself of these things. And they are things I believe about myself, but sometimes I just need them reinforced. So, in whatever way works for you, find a way to reinforce positive ideas about yourself and your worth, and make sure that you pull up those negative ones when they pop up. And if you're struggling with anything in this reading or anything in your life, remember to ask for help. Spirit is here to help you. There's nothing too big or too small. You can always ask for that assistance. Even if you need to ask for assistance in asking for assistance. If you have trouble asking for help, ask Spirit to help you ask for help more often. I mean, like I said, there's no limit to how you can word things and the requests that you can create that can help you along your path. So I wish you lots of luck and happiness, Sagittarius. I hope you have a wonderful week. If you enjoyed this reading, please subscribe and hit the bell notification. I also offer free personalized oracle card readings whenever I get a chance to. If you look on my videos, you'll see some that I've live streamed in the past. I also have a website, www.theinneryou.com, just like my channel name. And I have very affordable card readings there, and astrological reports, and a blog with articles. So feel free to join the community, and I look forward to talking to you again. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.